We are live. Oh, the music. Okay, I was going to say the music is still playing in my ears. I don't know if it's playing in your ears.
just in my head.
I didn't hear it. I'm not in step with you two, but I'm here.
Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you both for coming. And thank you. Oh my gosh, there's already people in the chat. Wow. Thank you all for coming. So, I guess I'm just going to go around to my right here. We have Delusions of Graendal. Can you introduce yourself? Oh, already.
It's
already happening. This is fantastic.
Yes.
It's happening. The hands are coming. Yes, I'm I'm Delusions of Graendal, host of Feather and Mountain podcast, which is back finally after a 9-month hiatus. But we're back in fine gear. We've just wrapped up our Rings of Power episodes, and we're going to be starting our rewatch of The Wheel of Time November 10th and digging through those episodes with the lens of a never reader and moi, a veteran reader, and some very fun guests who will not be announced just yet.
I won't say any word. And yes, and then let's move down to you,
That
Jason.
would be me. So, hi, everyone. I'm Jason Denzel. You probably know me from Dragonmount.com. I've been doing this a long time. This is year 24 of Dragonmount. And so, oh my goodness, what a time to be a fan of the Wheel of Time. And things change, people come and go, new fans show up, new podcasts, new content creators, and that's wonderful. But at the heart, the books are just still amazing. I was just reading some other, I randomly pick them off the shelf every now and then, like don't we all kind of, and it just kind of flip through it. And sometimes some of these things just still continue to blow me away. So here I am. And outside of Wheel of Time, I am writing books. I just finished up the Mystic Trilogy. Book 3, Mystic Skies, is out now. So that's the whole complete series is done. It's available. If you're watching this live and it's still October, the first 2 books are on sale, like really inexpensively, $2.99 a piece in ebook format. You can get that anywhere that ebooks are sold. The first 2 books are out there, and the third one's available. Everything is available in print and audiobook and ebook, and that's my pitch. So thank you so much for having me on here, Jenny, and nice to meet you, Delusions of Graendal, which great.
You too, Jason. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so we will be talking about both of those things, like Dragonmount and your books, which as I was telling Jason before we started, I finished book 2 yesterday. Well, Bodhi knows.
That's impressive. You jammed through those, didn't you?
Well, I listened to them. Yes, yeah, they are gripping. Like I kept going. Bodhi had mentioned to me, I'm just saying it's again, repeating for Jason, that it would be hard to go from book to stop at book 2. So I told him, okay, I'm going to time it so that I know that I won't get to book 3, because I didn't want to accidentally drop spoilers in the chat or in this conversation for this series. Because it is book 2 ends with I know I Bodhi said that. Book 2 ends with a bang, and I want to know what happens. Thank you to someone. Sorry, it's small on my screen, so I can't really see. When it says someone, that means I didn't put their name, but thank you. Yeah, thank you. I guess I'll keep this going. I didn't say this in this particular chat, but I will compliment Gowan for money. Gowan.
What is your bottom line here?
Oh my gosh.
What is the donation price that is going to take to compliment Gowan? And not Eye of the World Gowan either.
See, by the end of yesterday's stream, I got down to, I imagine Gowan uses a napkin when he eats. So this is like, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. Gowan, I don't think has ever kicked a dog. That we know of. Yeah. So
that we know of.
In the books, maybe in the show.
Right. That is so if you would like to torture me with having to come up with more positive things to say about one Mr. Gowan Tricand, and you may donate.
Now,
did
you also do this? Did you also do this for Talonvor?
Okay, no, Bree did. Yesterday, Bree made it like she was like $50 for a 1 minute praise of Talonvor, and she by the end was like scraping the bottom of the barrel as well. Of I don't think in the books Talonvor has ever tripped over his own feet. What? Criticize Nynaeve. I mean, okay, you know what? That's not as hard as you think, because one of the things I love about Nynaeve is how flawed she is. So Nynaeve has lots of flaws. Nynaeve flies off the handle for no reason. Nynaeve makes snap judgments about people and then has to, unlearn them, but very, very difficultly. That's a bad grammar. So, yeah. Okay, well, Jason.
Oh, well, yes? Hold on. You know who else flies off the handle is my dog, who is currently about to jump over the fence at the other dog. So I'm going to step away while my dog and pull my dog in here, and then I'll be right back. So hold on.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Flamingo. Okay, Gowan.
Thank you, friend.
Gowan.
That really means a lot to me.
Does mean a lot to me. Thank you. I gotta think of another compliment for Gowan. Gowan rides a horse well. So there you go. See, the easy ones were gone yesterday, and now I don't know. I think that is
so. This is new to me. Do you have the list that you're going to be going through
of Gowan compliments?
Or like, is there, you said there were some easy ones yesterday. So is it just Gowan comments that you're looking for, or is there a whole list of things that you
yes, Jason
will do for money?
I
am.
For me, I just did Gowan compliments. If somebody specifically requests something, like someone did request me insulting Nynaeve. Ooh. Delusions, you might compliment some of the other. Yeah, you can make requests. Delusions of Graendal, you might have to praise some other Forsaken.
I
don't know if you can tell. Yeah, I don't know if you all can tell. Delusions has a favorite Forsaken. I'm not sure if you are aware of Chosen, a favorite Chosen.
Andrew knows. He gets it.
Yes. Thank you. It's the Fudgy Vamp. Gowan. Okay, two compliments for Gowan.
Okay, Gowan. Can you do like headcanon compliments? Like Gowan would ride the fuck out of Sleet all night long.
I mean, you can if you. Yes, he would. He would. I'm trying to think of something from the books because I feel like I'm cheating by just Gowan. Gowan is he is nice to Elaine, and he oh, you know what? When Egwene likes Galad, Gowan is like, it's okay, even though I like you, it's your choice. Like, he doesn't pressure her like some other people in the books, Talonvor, who feel that they are owed love. So there you go. Okay. 77%.
Yeah, we are jamming here.
Thank you. Also, okay. To explain, I should have started with this. To explain what we're doing, I think most people in the chat already know, but just in case, I am trying to raise money to update my avatar system. The way that I do this, I think most people know that it's the Memoji from my phone, but I have to combine it with several other things to make it work like this. Because if you have an iPhone, you know the Memoji is only usable in the Messages app, and so I have to do several things to make that work. And one of those steps is based on an outdated, like my iPhone is running on iOS 13 because if I update my iPhone, this no longer works. And if you know iPhones, the iPhone 6, like the iOS 60 just came out. I am way out of date, and it's going to stop working at a certain point. So I have to update it and make it something that is more future-proof. So that's what this is, to get a custom avatar made, update my computer so that it will work with the system. And yeah, Delusions. Did you see this? Ooh.
Passive aggressive works, right?
Thank you, Delusions. Yeah, passive. I mean, that's how Delusions would do it. She would totally.
Ravine excels at being a second-rate chosen. His use of compulsion is truly second to worst. He doesn't understand subtlety or how to get a girl without, the absence of total consent. So Ravine, cheers to you, Boo. Enjoy not being saved by the Great Lord.
Yes, we're also full spoilers, but just saying. Somebody asked why they came into Gowan Love. I'm just going to again put this up so people understand why they came into Gowan Love, so they don't just think. I don't want people walking away from the stream thinking, yes, Jenny is a Gowan fan. That would be the worst thing ever. So that is what that is. So Jason, please, you created Dragonmount. You said it's 20 years ago?
24 years. Yeah. So
24 years.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of people have heard this. Yeah, the link there. Well, that's a great place to go and get any of the books from my series. So Dragonmount started because I wanted a website where I could compliment Gowan the whole time. And no, it was a place where I wanted to have these discussions, all these things that we're doing today. In 1998, clearly there was no YouTube, there were no podcasts, there were no any of this stuff. And so I was looking for community, and there were some forums out there. There was a wheelofTime.com and there was a wheelofTime.org. There was the news groups that existed, and a lot of you watching, and maybe some of you remember those things, but those are long gone. And so the new book was coming out. Path of Daggers was on its way out. It was just about a month before that was coming out. So I was rereading the series, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. And that just happened to coincide with the time when I was learning HTML or whatever in college. And I put together the website. Somebody else that was working with me, another fan that I probably met through one of those forums, was like, well, hey, I can sign up a domain for you. And I said, great. He's, what do you want the domain to be? And I said, Dragonmount.com. And so he signed that up, and he helped me create a database. And these are all things I had no idea how to do at the time. And so we just kind of did it one day at a time, one piece at a time. And because the new book was coming out right then, we right away, week one, day one, our popularity surged. We had 1,000 people sign up in the first week or two, and I didn't even know how to handle
it. And this is back in the days of
1998. Yes, exactly. So and I think back then to register, you had to email me, and that was it. Click here to register, and it was just an email form. And so I was copying and pasting. There were no passwords or anything. It was just copying and pasting and paste and mailing us an Excel sheet. We very quickly got over to databases, and there was a login system, and it never worked, and it was always crashing and stuff. But we had a lot of fun, and that was just how it went. And then we made t-shirts real quick, and everyone loved those. And then Robert Jordan was on tour, so I showed up and met Robert Jordan, and he looked at me like, what do you mean a fan site? He gave me one of those looks what's going on? And so it was pretty cool. There have either one of you, do you ever get a chance to ever see Robert Jordan in person or anything? You know, any other book signings or anything?
So I started reading the books in 99 when I was 11. So, and unfortunately, good old Jim didn't make his way up to Canada too often. So
I see. Yeah.
Parents weren't about to let me hop down to Charleston to go see him, but I'm very jealous.
Yeah, we're both Canadian, so I don't know. I met Brandon Sanderson a couple of times while he was writing the Wheel of Time books. Like I got him to sign the books that he wrote, or two of them.
Great. Yeah,
not
good.
the third one.
You know, I wish more people, especially as we are getting so many new fans from the TV show, I wish more people could have experienced a Robert Jordan book signing. And, you know, he had a present. I know there's some videos on YouTube and they're not great. And there's some audio interviews here and there, but he had a way that was different. And like, even to this day, like I don't know of a personality that was quite like Jim. And I've told the story before. And so a lot of you people who have been, you know, to a lot of these streams that have heard this, but, you know, my favorite event was that very first one that I went to in 1998, was in San Jose, California, which is actually my hometown. I didn't live there at the time, but that's where I was. And I was visiting, and he did this event and had, you know, 400 people. It was, you know, out the store, the big Barnes and Noble around the corner. And he got up and he read from Path of Daggers, and he read from the chapter A Time of Iron, which is where the Sanshin are prepping their army to, you know, to meet the Ashaman and meet Rand's army and the Legion of the Dragon and everyone else that's going on there. And so the chapter begins with him, you know, just kind of describing, it's like, you know, Torokan Airport, you know, air traffic control, you know, the Torokan are coming in for a landing, and you know, the generals are running around and everything. But I'm telling you, there was something about this reading that it was insane. Like, it's not a very exciting moment in the book, but to hear him read it, he's, you know, he says, you know, Torokan, and like in everyone, as when he says Sol Damane, there's like, I'll never forget. There was like a ripple that went through the crowd. He would say something, and you know, and people just kind of like shiver, and like they would like look at each other like and smile, like, did he just say that? And there was power in the way that he was speaking. And he mentioned, you know, Rand Althor, and you know, so much different than, you know, just saying it yourself or hearing your head, or and there's a real energy and excitement to that. And so it's been 24 years, and I kick myself all the time because I had a video camera at the time and I didn't record it. I don't know why, but I wish I had recorded that. I wish we had kept that audio. And I say this every time I tell the story, that if anybody happens to have been there that day, if anyone happens to have recorded it, please get a hold of me and send me that. And we need to do that for Robert Jordan to get that out there. There's very few recordings of him, and very, 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 if any, I really only kind of know of one where he's reading from his own stuff. And it's not something that we're allowed to give out, unfortunately. So, but yeah, so what a special guy. And, you know, I know we've got, you know, Brandon has continued on his legacy, and he does such an amazing job, and his book signings have the feel of those, you know, Robert Jordan events that were packed houses, and he puts on a great show for all of them. What was my first bad theory about what? That's a great question. What was my first bad theory? You're implying, John, that there have been many bad theories. My first bad theory was that Rand wasn't actually the Coromor. That I think this was a good theory, but we'll call it a bad theory because it false. But my theory was that his whole thing was he was going to sign, you know, that he was going to make the bargain, and he walked in, you know, all confident, you know, Mr. Tough Guy, and like, I'm going to lay down the bargain. We're going to bargain, that arrogance. And I thought it was just going to backfire, and that I was going to end up being Matt, who accidentally makes the bargain that actually sticks and actually makes a difference. And I kind of wish that had happened.
That's fun. I like that.
Good. It's all good, Robert Jordan. It's all good. And actually,
what was your,
maybe that was his intent, and maybe Brandon just didn't get my memo. But yeah. So,
what was your Asmo theory?
So what was my Asmodean theory? When I first read it, when I first read the book, I didn't realize that it was supposed to be a mystery. I thought it was just Lanfear. Like I thought Lanfear had been back and he was, because I forget the context. Wasn't he like literally thinking about Lanfear right before that, or Lanfear was on his mind or something? And then she's there and he's
he
like,
was
oh,
like
crap.
in the pantry.
You know,
yeah.
Right. And then he gets, knocked out of his shoes or whatever. And so, I thought it was Lanfear for all those years. And so, but then once I realized that the fandom had discovered this that it was a mystery. And once I started looking into it, I'm like, oh, I see. No, well, probably isn't Lanfear. And certainly as the books went on, I was like, no, that definitely wasn't Lanfear. Okay. So who was it? And by then, I had read the actual correct theories. So Robert Jordan always said that he had received, he would go to these sightings and say and he would say, everyone asks me who killed Asmodean. And I tell you that it was, that it is intuitively obvious to a casual observer, is what he would say. And he'd say, but there has been one person who wrote me a letter and correctly deduced who the killer is, but I'm not going to say who that killer was or who that person was, but there was one person. Now, behind the scenes, Bob Klutz, a friend of mine, and he's the guy who runs or contributed all the content to Encyclopedia Watt, which is still online if you Google that. And the vast majority of that content came from Bob Klutz. And Bob was very forthcoming on our forums and everything, like, yep, I wrote Robert Jordan, here's my letter, I said that Grendel did it. And we knew of no other fan who wrote to Robert Jordan to do that. Maybe some other fans did, but nobody else knew that.
Man,
so
you had the real inside scoop.
Yeah.
I'm full of inside Wheel of Time scoops. It's kind of my thing. So I mean, we didn't know for sure, but one year I met Bob at a Comic-Con and we were talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that was you, huh? Yeah, I think it's me. So, and his theory was pretty sound. Bob is one of those guys who in the years where everything was still unclear, he could piece together all of the puzzle pieces like no one other. And he was driven by that. It was great. So, yeah.
What's been one of the things, I don't know if you know about the Wheel Takes podcast, but it's been absolutely frustrating. She put math together, and people were like, so who do you think killed Asmodean, thinking it would be a big mystery? And she was like, well, Grendel? Literally, everybody was like, fuck you. Seriously? The fandom talked about this for 20 years.
I was hardcore on the Moraine train. Didn't know how to get off of it.
Yeah. I love that how Moraine went out. I'm not a fan. I know it was Robert Jordan's idea. It wasn't a Brandon thing. I wasn't so much of a fan of Moraine coming back. I liked, I don't know, what did you, well, let me explain my side. So I love the idea of that she had played the role in Rand's life and in the world's life, that she needed to play to move on. And whenever you bring back those mentors, sometimes it can be a little, it was well done with Gandalf did it well.
Yeah. Gandalf,
I mean, he kind of cool came back, but Moraine.
If we're talking about the return of Moraine and how she was after she was brought back, she should have stayed dead.
Yeah. And also that role had kind of shifted over to Cadsuane. Cadsuane inherited the energy of that mentor role. You know what I mean? And so by the time Moraine came back, she couldn't really resume the mentor role. It shifted to take care of, I get it. One of the big themes that of the series, and something that Robert Jordan really initiated the whole series to him, was this idea of the weary warrior getting their chance at last to relax after great wars, and which is something clearly that would be on his shoulders. A man who went through the horrors of Vietnam and really saw some dark stuff, and in his lifetime there. And then coming back, the series originally, Rand was going to be Rhys Althor, which was Rand was supposed to be a 35-year-old man returning from war. He was basically a mixture of Rand as we know him and Tam put together. He was supposed to be a 35-year-old man coming back from the war, and then he finds out that he's a dragon reborn. So it was kind of like here we go again thing. He was world weary, and he clearly, Robert Jordan went away from that idea, but that was a thing. That's what pushed him. And he talked a lot about how he always knew the final scene of the series, and that final scene was Rand walking off into the sunset and having a shanty where he's thinking to himself, you know, like, I've seen all the palaces, I've seen it all, I'm just so tired, I just want a cabinet and a pipe and my 3 women, you know, or whatever. And so he just wants to, you know, he's done with it all. So anyway, yeah. There's
okay, I have to say, I have
please. I want to hear what you think about Moiraine.
Oh no, I was just gonna say 3 donations have come in, and I think I owe some compliments. Gowan, I think would probably Gowan would not pinch a serving girl. That is something that a lot of the men in the books do. Gowan would not. Do you think he would, Delusions? I'm seeing. I think it would be bad form.
I get the feeling that Gowan takes what he wants. If we could bring the blood knives into question and those little rings, and doesn't always listen when a woman says no.
Or yes.
That's my in-text read of Gowan.
I think that he
I think he'd go to like a high class brothel and like do some pinching there.
You think he would? Okay, all right. See, I my vibe off of him would be that would be bad, impolite. It would be in politic, and so he would.
Well,
not.
Yes, unless you're paying for it, of course.
yes. Okay, another Gowan compliment. Gowan. I think I used this one yesterday, but I can't remember, so I'm going to use it again. I bet you he dances well. He's probably learned some courtly dances, and I think he would do them well. And he has excellent diction in my mind. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yes. Okay. You asked my thoughts on Moiraine. Yes. I like to.
What was that? ET or something played?
Oh, it was just good. Thank you for the people coming in. I liked that she came back because I missed her, but I do wish that she had done more. Like when she came back, it felt when she came back was not anticlimactic, but what she did was anticlimactic. Like I was like, come on, really?
I wonder if that was. I mean, here we're going to get a little meta behind the scenes, right? So put yourself in Brandon's shoes. The notes clearly state there were fewer notes than I think people realize, you know? Mm. So for the most part, Brandon had a green light to do his thing. Mm. But there were some things that were in there. And one of the things that was in there was Moiraine comes back and is with, and her relationship with Tom. Those things were both Robert Jordan canon. And I think so. Brandon, I mean, he had to do it, and he, I think, did as best he could with it. But again, like all the roles that Moiraine could have played, she wasn't going to come back and be a battle master leader. She wasn't going to be throwing the one power around it in extraordinary ways. Anything higher than she was before. Actually, she was doing a lot less, right? And then she wasn't going to come back and be a political leader because all those seats were filled and her circumstances had changed, and she didn't want that. What she wanted was, that quieter life, and that was all. She wanted Tom, she wanted Denzel. So really, all that was left over was the personal mentor to Rand, and even that was kind of taken up as we talked about Cat Swain and other people, Tam to some extent by that point again. But what was left was, I can bring a warning that only I have. I can bring some bit of information that you've missed. And that's all well and good. But as you said, it's not very exciting,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see what they do with the TV show.
I don't want them to kill her in the TV show for an even bigger meta reason. it's just too many lesbians die in shows, and they've made her a canonical lesbian, and it's just I've watched like when I first came out, one of the things I did, this is years ago, it was when Netflix was in DVDs, but I remember like going into their LGBT library and just like renting every movie about a lesbian. I stopped after maybe 20, it's like every single one of them, they die. Like it's a thing, and it has continued in media. It's not universal, but it is still enough that it's there
was a big uproar.
Show, I get like I just always like, oh, she's probably gonna die, isn't she? Like that's my thought now.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because as a writer, I'm straight, I'm cis, and but I want to obviously, I have a very diverse cast in all of my books, and I continue to expand that as I write, and it's important for me to know about these tropes, I guess, sadly, so that I'm not inadvertently leading into it. And I remember where I learned this lesson, and the way it was described to me is sadly it was called the kill your gaze thing. Someone's and that's how it was described to me by people in that community, was saying that this was during the I love Voltron. You can see I love Voltron back here, and it's one of my favorite things. And when Netflix made their new version of Voltron, they had a prominent character who midway through the series came out as gay, and was very exciting for the LGBT community, to have such a cool character represented. And then that character died, and or maybe his husband died. I forget exactly what happened. And I remember I was at Comic-Con, and there was a line where they had a microphone, and they said, okay, if you have any questions, come over and ask the filmmakers. There's a panel of the filmmakers up there. And this line just lined up, and everyone in that line was from the LGBT community, and they were there, and they were just like, "Why'd you do this?" Like, and we have real issues with this, and I'm glad that is being voiced. I'm glad to hear that you said it's a problem that we still have, and I really hope it changes soon.
The Queers of Time. Sorry, Jenny.
Oh, I was gonna say, my theory on why it happens, especially when like cis people are writing or straight people are writing, is that they like I really want to make this character sympathetic. What's the best way to make? Because I want people to like them.
Backfires.
And what's the best way to make a character sympathetic and people like them is to make them suffer, and it's just you end up with just a bunch of suffering gays. It's just I would like to see some happy gays, please. So sorry, go ahead, Delusions.
No, I was just going to say the Queers of Time podcast. I don't know if everyone here in chat has listened to them or not. They're amazing. The hosts are James, Camille, Kat, and Matt. And they had Allie on a couple weeks ago to talk about the tropes that worked in the show and that didn't. And one of the tropes is exactly what you guys are talking about, which is, and they have a name for it, and my memory is terrible and I can't remember what it is. But it's when you like kill your gaze. Anyway, the podcast is amazing. I can't recommend it enough. I think I'll link which episode it is. I think it's like episode 11 or something, but they go through all the tropes and really highlight, because it's something that similar to you, Jay, like as a cis het white woman, I didn't really think about in the context of like the impact of making Moraine canonically like lesbian in the show,
or queer, some variety, and
that's a great example of that. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but
no,
I think that was the right choice. Like, aside from, I know that some people see it as an agenda and all that, but setting aside that crap, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like, just looking at it from a story perspective, Moraine and Swan together as a couple fits the canon so much better. It's more true to their character, more true to even to the book character. I mean, Tom and Maureen, I know it was a Robert Jordan thing, but it didn't work. And I can't speak for Brandon, but ask him about it sometime. And I think he would agree that it wasn't the relationship that was it didn't make as much sense. It kind of came out of nowhere. And so, but I get that he had a vision for it. He set it up. It didn't, he was a master of setting up things many, many books in advance and being real subtle. As we all know, he's probably the best author I've ever seen to do that. But at the same time, this was something that he missed on. He didn't always, a lot of his things hit in a really good way and in an amazing way. I think this is one that he missed on, and that's okay. And maybe if he had, been alive, and he would have changed it up, because we know he changed these things as as the books went on, and also or maybe he just he had a vision for it, and he would have been able to bring it forth in a way that Brendan didn't quite see or wasn't equipped to see.
Yeah. Now, okay, we are talking writing, and you are an author, so and I, like I said, I have read. Yes, I have read the first 2 books in the Mystic series. I mean, it's a pretty generic question, but I am curious to know, like, what inspired this series? How did it come about in your mind?
Yeah. So, okay, so let me back up, and I'll answer that question, but let me tell you a little bit about it first. So,
okay,
so
that's
the
probably
Mystic
a good
Trilogy. Yeah, the Mystic Trilogy, it's 3 books: Mystic, Mystic Dragon, and Mystic Skies. And the idea behind this was, it was originally intended to be a series of short films. Of all things, I was I did a lot of filmmaking back in the early 2000s after college, and that was my jam. And so I was, fired up and, young and in my early 20s, and, going and making tons of movies and trying to make a go of it. Right. And so I decided I was going to do some fantasy stuff. And so I started gearing up, and I needed to make some stories that were going to be self-contained, things that I can make in the short films. That's something I can afford, something I can make on out of my own pocket, and something that we can get done. We didn't have a budget to make a fantasy 2-hour movie. We had enough budget for 5-7 minute movies. And so I thought, okay, I need an idea. And I really wanted to do it like a trilogy. This is when Lord of the Rings came out as movies in the early 2000s. This was, like I said, I was 25 years old or something. And, so I'm a child of Star Wars. Trilogies were the thing, right? And this I'm like, I can do this. Like, I know how to make short films. I know how to make them well. For early 2000 visual effects, my degree at my undergrad degree was in computer animation. I am no unraveling the pattern, but I knew enough to do some visual effects. And so the idea was I was going to take, and so I came up with the idea that I was going to make a trilogy of films. And so I put together these ideas, and I made them really kind of self-contained, really tight stories, and I was going to do that. So for the first book, the first movie was going to be, this character was going to apply to try and become an apprentice to a master mystic, and she was going to show up. And so, the opening shot was, she arrives at this place, there's a master out there, and he gives her some tasks and trials, and she competes with some candidates to try and become an apprentice. So that was going to be a 7-minute little movie. So life happened, and the movies did not happen. We moved on, but I moved into writing prose, into writing novels, and so I started writing short stories, and making that shift from going from screenplays to prose. And when I did that, I was working on a big epic fantasy, and I get fairly a good way into it. But then what happened was that it was too much for me to finish. It was a big Robert Jordan-esque book with many, many point of views. There was a lot going on. It was a complicated story, very extremely political, and a complicated magic system. All the things that I wanted to do that I just didn't have the chops to do quite yet. So when I got to a point where I said, okay, I've learned a lot, but I've been doing this book for years. It's not really going anywhere. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I just need something fresh. And so what can I work on? And I thought, hey, I have these short films that I started to develop. I bet I could take those simpler ideas and turn them into novels. And so that's what I did with Mystic. And so I took that core idea of a lowborn teenage girl. She's lowborn, and in this world that she lives in, the character named Pamela. In Pamela's world, there is a softer magic system, unlike Robert Jordan, unlike Brandon Sanderson, where Pamela can sense the mist, as I call it, this magic, the mist all around her. It's in the air, it's in the stones, it's in her thoughts, it's in her heart. It's something that arises through ritual and meditation and life experience. It's there. It's not always fully tangible, and it takes a certain mindset to not access it, but to unveil it, as I say. And so she has a yearning to do this, but it's against the law for anyone who isn't a noble to access this. And so Pamela gets an unexpected invitation to go and apply to become an apprentice to the high mystic living out in the woods. And she's got a conundrum that she wants to go and do this, but she would be breaking law and tradition by running away from home, essentially, to have to go and run out there. And there's big consequences if she goes out there and does this. And so naturally she does, and there's all sorts of trouble. And that's essentially what the first book is that, she's 16 years old and she's trying to become an apprentice to the mystic. But what I loved about this series, and what drew me to this series more than anything else, wasn't this smaller story of Pamela when she's 16. It was the story of her life. I loved the grand stories. Robert Jordan, right? I love stories that span time. I love generational sagas. I love stories that look at history, where we are learning from history, and clues to success are buried in the past and everything. And I love those kind of tales. And so Mystic is really about her life told over the course of many, many, many years. There's a time jump in between each one of the books, and I won't say how much, Jenny, because I know you're going into book 3, so I'm not going to spoil anything. But if you look at the cover, you might get a clue. And
I haven't even looked at the cover yet. So.
Okay, yeah, don't look at the cover. Well, now you can't. You finished book 2, but yeah. And so I wanted to tell a story that this is a generational saga. This is something where, at the beginning, she is, she's a teenager and she's got teenage problems. She's, hopefully you won't not buy my book because of this, but there's a love triangle in the first one, and like a lot of these,
it's better than the love triangle the show tried to cram down our throats. I think it's okay.
Yeah, so. Someone said, was a better love triangle than Twilight. I thought that was the highest compliment. So that I've had yet. So I should put that. They should put that on the cover or something. Better love triangle than Twilight. That's really what they should have put on the cover. I'd probably be a bestseller if they had done that, right? So,
yes. Thank you. Spied monkey.
But then in the second book, and Jenny, you saw this, right? Where you probably noticed it's a lot darker, and that's because she's older. She's dealing with there's more consequences for her actions, and as all of us, the world gets more and more complex the more you live in it, and that's certainly the case in Pamela's situation. For me personally, as a writer, like I wrote that first book, and I was I had a young family, and everything. I had a nice little balance in life, and then after that first book, right around the time that it came out, was right when I went through a divorce, and then also my dad unexpectedly died. I lost my job after 15 years. The whole division was laid off, but like all this stuff happened all at once, and I was dealing with a lot of things going on, and so like I like to say that my life was on fire, and so I just channeled that right into the pages. And literally the cover of the second book, there is, it's everything's on fire. And it was very symbolic in that. And I think that the second book was,
it's a lot of fire.
Right. And so that second book, all 3 of them really are, looking back on it now, after all 3 are done, they really are a snapshot of my life at the time. And I feel like I've just laid it all out as much as I got. I poured my soul into this. And whereas it's not a one-to-one one-to-one thing, what happened to me didn't exactly happen to Pamela, and vice versa, but the emotions, the hurt, the fear, all the feelings I was feeling, especially that second one, like I jammed it in there. And really that third book is having gone through that fire and looking back, and one of the big themes of the third book is, examining the consequences of your actions, and
that makes sense.
Trying to come to terms with life happened. And one of the big mystics using this magic, especially at the higher levels, is all about, it's a very Zen Buddhist idea of, letting go. And here is Pamela, having gone through all these things. She's made all these decisions and choices, and she's got to, look back and deal with those consequences, but in a very Eastern mystical way, I suppose you can say. She's letting that go, just being okay with it, dissolving that attachment to that trauma, and so she deals with a lot of that in the third book.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense, because there is definitely a lot of trauma that happens in
especially as you said at the end. The second book ends on it's a doozy. So
holy crap!
No spoilers, because I have it on my TBR. I'm not there yet.
Yes. I think I just sent Bodhi, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Okay, speaking of Bodhi, Bodhi has read the books, as he said here. He's a huge fan. He thinks it has a great conclusion. He sent me a couple of questions that he wanted to ask. I'm going to ask one of them. I'm just going to read it from what he sent me verbatim.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Mother, father, why?
All right, so let me explain this one. So mother, father. So this was maybe a little bit of, this was rookie writing. This was my first book. Okay. So mother and father, can I, let me put in the chat. This is how I spelled it in the book. So the word mother and father, rather than just saying mother and father, I said mother and father, and I spelled it.
Mother. Took a page out of Robert Jordan's book and added a letter.
More or less, right? How did I spell that? There, maybe like that. I put it in the chat. I don't know if you can. I think that's how I spelled it. It's been a while since I wrote those books, but the idea was that I was like, how can I get across that there's an accent or a dialect without saying that there's an accent or a dialect? And I'm like, okay, I didn't want to go and make it cartoonish and have all of their words, be heavily edited. That would just get annoying real fast. So I found some keywords and put them in there. Yeah. And just spelled them a little bit. I don't know if I spelled father right there. Maybe if anyone has the book handy, they can look it up. There you go. Thank you. Delusions of Graendal. There you go.
Right,
oh, you got it too. So yeah. So that's what I did. And so some people don't mind, and some people do mind. I do have some other characters who have even heavier dialect, and I go in and I intentionally spell things that are, I spelled it out phonetically different so that on audiobook, Mary Robina Kowal, who reads the books, you probably, she goes full Scottish accent, exactly dialect into it. So. Yeah. Some people don't. Some people ask me about it and don't like it. Looking back, would I change it? Maybe that might be one of the few things I would change. I don't know if I would. I think it's fine, but
I didn't. But
it comes across much better in audio than it does in print. It trips people up when they see it in print, is what it is.
Yeah, because I asked. Because again, I was talking with Bodhi about this. Like, how is it spelt? Like, I honestly don't know, because I'm just hearing her say mother and father in the audiobooks. Because we were talking about this as well before, don't change it. It felt fantastic. Excellent.
Thanks, Bodhi.
About being like a cishet white person. You have written a character, Pamela is a person of color, and you all she's a woman, so you have crossed sort of two boundaries in writing the main character of your show. Was that an intentional choice, or your books?
It was definitely a very intentional thing that I did with as much delicate, loving care that I could. And I went into the previous book I had been working on. The main character was a 35, white dude, essentially, right? And because at the time I was 35 and writing a book about it, and it was a comfortable starting place for me. And for Mystic, I didn't want to write that character. I knew how important representation was. I was fortunate being a white boy, you know, with blonde hair before I shaved it all off. You know, back when I was a little kid, I was blonde. And so like I had Luke Skywalker, he looked just like me. And even Rand, like you know, when I was in high school, I was, you know, a lot like Rand physically. And so, you know, just height and everything. And so I identified with that. And so I had all these heroes that I could identify with that were very familiar to me. And I knew, and that was, as I became a writer, I was like, just like we were talking about earlier, it's like, I was like, hey, you know, not everyone has, you know, these great heroes to look up to. And so I thought, I want to write a story where it's not just, you know, a heroic version of someone who looks like me. But I also know that you can't just go in, just because I write a character, a woman of color, doesn't mean that I am A, qualified to do it, and B, that I'm going to do it well. Right. And so this is a fantasy world. This is not our world. So that helps in a great deal. I wouldn't feel comfortable writing the story of a Black woman in the real world in the United States. You know, I haven't, that is not a lived experience that I have. And not to say that I couldn't do it or that we shouldn't do it as a society. I think it's important that writers and people walk in another's footsteps, so to speak, you know, walk in their shoes. And I think that it's important to try and do that. I think that by writing somebody that is different from you, you get to know that person. And if you do it right, if you just don't sit down at your keyboard and just barf up what you think you know, but really go and research it, talk to people from that community or that demographic, talk to them, ask them, what would you do? You know, what do you think of this? What are the things that are important to you? Touch on the themes you're trying to write about. There's ways to approach this. And so what I did.
So did you have, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, you had sensitivity readers.
Yes, for sure. And so and that evolved over time. In the first book, my sensitivity readers were primarily my writing group, which had a lot of women in it. And they still love to tell stories about the first draft of that first book and just how ridiculous I had, you know, Pamela. And they're like laughing, like, you know, no one says these things, Jason, let alone the 16-year-old girl, you know, like you're making her sound 12. And another trope that, you know, people do all the time. And now that I learned it, I see it everywhere, and I avoid it now intentionally, is the trope of a 16-year-old girl or younger, and pretty much mostly just women, but especially teenage girls and younger, having them cry in your story. And my first draft, sure enough, you know, like Jenny, if you remember that first chapter where she gets the invitation to go to the High Mystic, and she's talking to her friend Bethy. In that first draft that I had, that, you know, she was a sobbing mess because she couldn't decide what to do or whatever. And it was not good writing, but also it's an ugly trope that, you know, girls cry, boys don't, or whatever, you know, or it's got to be a really powerful thing for the boy to cry. You know, he loses his dog or whatever, you know, and so, but, you know, but now that someone had told that to me, and I looked at all the instances of, you know, that tears welled up or she cried or whatever, and I bail fired them completely from the series. I think maybe there is one time completely appropriate where she tears up, but any other time, like she doesn't. Anytime I found myself instinctively in that first draft going to the trope of like, you know, she tears up, I would immediately catch myself and not be like, no, she's not going to tear up. She can feel this emotion. She's a freaking mystic, you know, like she trains for this. And, you know, so, you know, I found it and I turned it into a strength, you know, instead of being a moment of weakness, I turn it into strength. And yes, sometimes it is appropriate to shed a tear. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to hurt. And she definitely goes through a lot, and she does feel that. But at the same time, I always question myself, does she need to cry here? Or is that just a thing I'm leaning back on? In terms of writing her character in general, that was always something that I went to, is I thought to myself, am I writing this scene where Pamela is in, you know, what are the tropes that I'm leaning on, and what is true to her character? And it ended up being, honestly, not that hard. Like, and I say that, and not in an arrogant way, but I say that because it wasn't that hard to just look at her as a person and treat her as a person who has needs, who has something she wants to get done, who's determined, she's driven, she makes bad mistakes sometimes, and she can be a little goofy and all these other kind of traits about her. But at the end of the day, you know, like I give her the she's the one making the choices. I make sure that it's not, she is the one making a choice. Not later on in that second book. This isn't really a spoiler, but there's a scene, Jenny, you might remember, where many people are showing up and there's a ceremony, and Lao, is called out and everything. And rather than having that scene focus on Lao, having it focus on that person who's there, Pamela steps forward and the spotlight goes to her, and she's the one making the decisions. She's the one speaking up. This is her story. And so, that was important to me, that she have that,
floor string with Legos. Yes. Well, I like someone earlier.
There you go, John. Yes.
Someone earlier in the chat said something like, tropes aren't necessarily bad, but they can be. It depends on how you use them. And there is a tendency, I find, for especially male writers, when they're writing women, to write them younger. Like as much as we're here because we all love Wheel of Time, as much as I do, there's so many instances where I see the women behaving like, did he think they were 12 when he wrote this scene? But why did they suddenly start giggling and laughing and hugging each other? Let's be friends.
Oh my God. Yes. Thank you. You're citing the exact scene in the White Tower. I am so excited for R2J2 to just tweak that a little bit. Let's add some tension there. Let's make it a bit more realistic than OMG, sleepaway camp. Let us make some friendship bracelets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's like the scene suddenly changed. Like I'm watching the scene whenever I read it and be like, they were 18 and now they're 12 and I don't know what happened. Like they just changed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what I had in that first draft of that first book was perhaps an unconscious taking the idea of those Wheel of Time characters who I admired. These were, fantastic fantasy characters, that were women, and what I knew very well at the time, and bringing them over. But sorry, that was I had to check myself and be like, because they're not 12, they wouldn't be bringing her. It's okay to have close, and I certainly, as you know, Jenny, for me, like there are some very close and intimate, platonic, female relationships in the story between women, and this is something that they're not going to braid their hair, but they can be loving, they can be intimate, not sexually intimate, but they can be emotionally intimate and open, but they're also going to get annoyed at each other. They're also going to be pissed off at each other sometimes. And I tried to reflect that as much as possible. And just to kind of wrap up the question, Delusions, you were asking about sensitivity readers. So in the second book, I did have some additional people outside of my circle reading it, that because I introduced characters who, again, this is a fantasy world, they were not Asian, but their dialect and their style and their culture was very similar to to China, and I was pulling on a lot of that. And so I had some people outside of my writing group and everything come in and read that, and that was a little more of a concentrated effort. And then for the third book, I straight up asked my publisher, Tor Books, who publishes the Wheel of Time books, if they would hire a sensitivity reader, authenticity reader, I think is what they went by. And so a professional authenticity reader went through and read the entire third book and left a lot of comments. And I wanted to focus not just race and gender, but also on age. That was a big factor. So there's a lot of people, a lot of different ages in there, and younger and older, especially older. And I wanted to have that be something that I was doing in a authentic way. So
I was just about to highlight this comment. I don't know where her arc ends, Light Blinded Fool, so don't tell me, because I haven't finished the first book. But one of the things I have to say, and this, I mean, it's in the first book, but I was really pleased that it didn't lean into the trope of the women being antagonists towards each other. That was something that I was just like, oh God, is he going to do that? Is he going to do that? He didn't do that. Thank God. Like that was so.
Yeah, it definitely. And Viviana is the character in the first book. She's the mean girl, and that that was, I knew it writing. I knew exactly where she was going. I've had a pretty clear idea of where all the characters went for the whole series. And so in that first book, there's a lot, I had to lean into tropes. Like we were talking about it earlier. I think it was John who mentioned the tropes, and yeah, so I had to kind of lean into that a little bit, and I tried to shake it up. And I did show Viviana, she overall in that first book comes across as the mean girl. But I put some scenes in there where I was hoping to reveal that there's something deeper, that it's a surface level thing, her meanness, and that really comes out later on.
Yeah. I know you do have a time limit, Jason, but I wanted to ask, just because again, we are Wheel of Time fans, all of us here. Is there anything that you can see like a direct? There was one thing I remember when I was reading, like, Wheel of Time. Like, is there anything that you would say like is a direct inspiration there? Or
yeah, I have my answer, but I want to hear what you saw. What did you see that was Wheel of Time-esque?
The land is one with the dragon. The land is one with the dragon. The land is one.
So yeah, that's
the old Fisher King. Okay.
Yeah, that's an idea in the second book, and and that's a very Arthurian thing. It's a very
it is Fisher King.
Actually, it has some roots too. It has a lot of its roots in, from what I remember, I was researching it for a while back when I was reading about it for the first time in Wheel of Time. So I was researching Wheel of Time rather than researching Mystic. But even that comes from it's very present in the Arthurian legends, but it's even older than that. It goes back into India, into Hinduism, and it's an idea of this inseparation from the divine and in our worldly experience that we perceive. And I mean, that's bread and butter stuff for Mystic. I mean, the more I really am borrowing a lot of Eastern mysticism, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, and putting it in Ireland, essentially in a fantastical Ireland. That's kind of the pitch, right? And so the dragon one with the land, yes, it's called Mystic Dragon, so there should be no surprise that there is a dragon-like thing or theme involved there, and being one with the land. That was in there. But I was aware that yes, that does kind of lean on the wording. It leans on Robert Jordan a little bit.
Yeah.
Some other things. The Green Man is another one.
Yes.
Oxylian.
Yes.
Oxylian, the Green Man.
Yeah, that one didn't hit me as like, I did obviously go, oh yeah, but the Green Man is a huge part of Celtic mythology. He's a
big part of the story, and I like to say that the Green Man from Wheel of Time, after spoilers, after dying in that first book or whatever, he his contract was up, so he came on over to the world of Mystic, and he turned into Oxylian over there. Semestra was reincarnated as Oxylian in my books, and he plays a major part in all three books. He is in some ways he is the heart and soul of some things here, and so the second book he's a little bit quieter in, but that's okay. There were good reasons for that. Another thing is St. Bridget. So in my Mystic Trilogy, there is a figure of legend that lived, centuries, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, almost 1,000 years before the events of the books. And so just like Rand, Mat, and Egwene and Nynaeve all have, these stories of the dragon and the Forsaken and Arthur Hawkswing, they have these legends that aren't quite right. The same thing is true for Pamela and Sim and all these characters that we're reading about. Know the story of Saint Bridget, who's like the patron saint of their island that they live on. And yes, I mentioned that it's kind of like a fantasy version of Ireland. So it's not direct, but I pull elements from the real life legend of Saint Bridget and which Robert Jordan also kind of borrowed from and pulled in. And so I did some of that too. And so Bridget is a character that's alluded to in the first one, and you learn more about her in the second, and
yes,
maybe more in the third. So
Okay, that's interesting. Sorry,
I said maybe.
haven't read the
I
first
said maybe.
part.
Just I'm not saying. I'm not nothing confirmed nor denied. But
Okay,
Now he's
I'm
just teasing us.
yeah, he really is. Because I literally I will start book 3 tomorrow is what will happen.
I'm so excited. Yeah, thank you for doing that. So
yeah. Well, no,
yeah.
I mean,
Let's see. Were there any other questions in the comments before I hopped off here? Because I do need to hop in a bit. But is there anything else that anyone wanted to know or ask before I jumped off? And I would love to hear one more really good Gawain insult.
Yeah, there's been
something I can take with me.
That you can take with you, because there's been a couple of donations. I have seen them come in. I just didn't want to interrupt the flow of conversation. But Gawain has, I believe, very good oral hygiene. Growing up in the palace, he would definitely take care of that. His cuticles are well kept.
That's a boy who gets a good manicure.
He really
weekly.
Does. Yes. And and he doesn't feel shame in it. He doesn't judge other men.
No, nor should anyone feel shame in it. But like Gawain has the coin to make sure that he keeps up.
Yes, exactly.
Keeping up with the Tricans.
Jenny, you maybe having read both, maybe you would know, or maybe you would agree with this. I never thought of it this way before, but now that I think of it, I think I can see it. Fair to say, Jenny, having read the first 2 Mystic books, that Sim, one of the main characters and really good friend of Pamela's, Sim is what Gawain could have been if he wasn't an asshole.
Yes, if he wasn't, I can absolutely agree with that and see that.
So there's Sim, the second biggest character I'll say in the series, other than Pamela, that's his pitch. He is Gawain, who isn't an asshole.
Yes.
Gawain, if he stayed like Eye of the World, Gawain.
Yeah, if he isn't entitled, like Gawain is like walking around, he's walking entitlement. Like, I am owed this. I should have this. Why don't I have this? I should have this. Wow.
The analogy really fits, because Gawain was like the first prince of the sword whose whole job is to be second fiddle to to play second fiddle to Elaine, to be there for Elaine, to be her guardian, her protector and stuff. And that's kind of what that's kind of what Sim is trying to do in that first book, especially. That's what he's doing, is that he follows Pamela off in the wood, to help her stay out of trouble. But he does it from a dopey kind of, like not really thinking this through and sort of thing. But his heart's in the right place, if not his actions. But it all been,
yeah. Oh, wow.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go here unless there's any other last questions from anybody else. But I wanted to say thank you so much, for having me on, Jenny, and for reading the books and everything else. But more so, just thank you for all you continue to do here in our community. There's a lot of people here that are clearly big fans of you. And what you're doing is important. Your voice is important. We're so glad that you are here in this. It's been 24 years, and I think this is the best time that it's ever been for me to be a fan, because of wonderful people like you and Delusions and everyone else who is out here, new content creators, new fans who are contributing. So thank you for having me on. It's a privilege, to be here.
Well, are you going to be at JordanCon or WhatCon? Jason?
I am planning to be at JordanCon. I'm a lifetime member there. I'm a hero of the Horn. And so usually what that usually means is that they said, we will tolerate you if you bother to show up. And so I think it's been a number of years, and I've been missing, my secondary family here. So I do plan to be there, and I hope both you will be there and everyone in the chat.
Yes. I have not yet been to JordanCon. The time of year doesn't always work for me, but
WhatCon?
There is what? Yeah, but what? But WhatCon?
But WhatCon in July?
Yes. Yeah. So I love how our fandom is growing. It is truly.
I think we're going to keep going too, as the show continues to have success and go from there. And I think the seasons, I think it's going to get better with the pandemic behind us, and with all the filmmakers and the writers just having. Yeah, I mean, they did a lot of good things, and I know you've talked about it to death, the good and the bad or whatever. But I think that just it's like, you write your first book is to get out there, and Mystic is great. I stand behind it. I love what Mystic did, but it also, I think that the later books are better than the first one. And that's kind of how it should be. I think season 2 is going to be better than season 1. And I think season 3 and 4 and beyond and everything will be even better. So I'm excited for it all.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me, and goodbye to everyone else. And thanks for joining us. So let's get her over the hump here and get her new avatar. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Jason.
Bye, Jason. Oh, there we go.
Man, right. I want to inject that man with truth serum and like get the inside scoop on those hidden videos of RJ and like all these other like things that he must know that probably won't be in Origins.
Ooh, oh yeah. You think that he might have secrets?
I think Jason knows a lot, man. I mean, if he's getting the inside track on who killed Asmo back in
the day,
99.
Yeah. Oh wow. I never even thought of that. Yeah. That is truth serum for Jason. We should fundraise for that.
For Jason, yeah. Someone concoct that by Jordan Con.
But it really is a good book series. Like I said, I've only read the first 2. Because I've never interviewed an author before, it was really intentional of just, I'm not going to read the last book because then I won't spoil it. Like I won't accidentally say something.
Well, I appreciate that because I'm definitely gonna get the Mystic Trilogy. I've got a couple other books on my TBR. I'm finally getting into R.F. Kuang's like the Poppy War series, so I'm gonna tackle that first. But then I think I'm heading into Mystic Trilogy.
Yeah. Now, okay, so now that it's you and I, just you and I, Delusion. Yes. We have a topic. Some of you may be aware. Delusions in your professional life. What is your job?
Well, when I'm not on mat leave,
yes.
Which is, hey, from Canada, where we have 12 months of leave. I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize, but yes. Oh, thank you. Oh shit, Gowan. I would bet Gowan has never done that thing where you just flip your underwear inside out because you're too lazy to do laundry.
Oh, he's never gone on a 5-day canoe trip, is what you're saying.
Yes, I would very much bet Gowan has never gone on a 5-day canoe trip. Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you, someone. I'm overwhelmed by the level of generosity. I did not anticipate this. I do have a top secret thing that I am going to say now. I wasn't sure. I got it ready, but I really didn't think we would get this close. If we get to my goal, I do have stretch goals, but like those are for motion capture and stuff for if I have a full body avatar to be able to move it around, but just getting the avatar running. If I get to the goal of just like the what I've budgeted for getting the avatar, I have written and made another parody video that I will release. So I will say that.
It's pretty great. So get those donations coming.
Yes. But okay. So as you are, Laura, I thought our topic would be to prosecute and or defend characters. And because I wanted to make sure that it was interesting, I have not made it like, oh, let's all just defend Loyal, because that's no, we have to do the
die for him.
yeah, like that is not so. We like I have flipped it. So Loyal is literally we have to prosecute Loyal, find things that are to. If he was in court, what would we accuse him of, or what would we like that sort of thing? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so that literally was my my working it out there. Yeah. And I have come up with lists of characters, but for donations, if you have a specific characters that you want us to prosecute or defend, then you can, but you have to specify it in the chat because I don't think we can see it, but just say like, I donated, please defend blah, 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 or please prosecute blah, blah, blah. And then we will try. But to begin, do you want to start with a prosecution or a defense?
Oh boy. I do like, oh God, I'm such a shitty person. I like defending shitbags.
Okay, well then,
is it terrible if I say I like getting shitbags off? I feel like there's like a sexual connotation to that I'm fine with, but it's true.
That does feel so. All right, I have two spinning wheels. This is the prosecution wheel. This is the defense wheel. I have just put characters in. Yes.
Oh, Fudgy asked the question in chat, which said we're not allowed to defend Tylan or Ravine, though, right? So Jenny and I had a thought about that, which is if you guys want us to quote unquote defend them or prosecute them, we're not going to be defending or prosecuting their guilt. What we will be arguing for are sentencing submissions. So basically, what is the sentence they should serve for their crimes that they've either pled guilty to or been found guilty of?
Yeah, that's because literally you named two characters and I was like, yeah, I'm not defending them. That's just literally, yeah, that is, I get ship bags off.
Brandon, a three-way divorce wouldn't survive. That boy is fucked.
Oh God, yeah.
Living in a tent.
All right. Let's see who we are defending first. Fail. Okay. Some of these characters are on both the defense and prosecute side, I will say. Fail is definitely on both of them because I think that she often is hated.
What are we defending Fail for? She did nothing wrong.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because I would say, yes, she has done things wrong, but she is in a really, really shitty situation right now with a husband who won't tell her that he's smelling her emotions, so she doesn't know what he's reacting to.
Oh wait, can I pause for? Sorry, can I pause for 3 minutes? My daughter needs her nose snot sucked, which is a 2-person job.
You may.
I'm so sorry. I have to go.
Being a mother,
suck my daughter's snot. I'll be back very quickly.
Oh my Lord, that is. I mean, I know that is a thing that mothers have to do. I am not a mother, so okay. I am going to while Graendal is gone, I am going to continue my defense of Fael. I've made a whole video about her, but I do think that Bodhi gets it. Bodhi is a dad. That Fael is in a really shitty situation because she's literally, somebody is bullying her. Like Berylane is literally bullying her a lot, trying to steal her husband. Ooh. Defend her physical abuse of Perrin. Okay. The best defense I can think of first off is in Robert Jordan's world, you see it constantly. Robert Jordan doesn't think women can physically hurt men. He just doesn't, unless they have a weapon. Like when he writes, he's always writing women slapping men, and it's generally done for comedic effect. Like, when full spoilers, when Nynaeve and Lan get engaged and married, he has Nynaeve slap Lan multiple times, and the end of that scene is like, oh, it hurts his hand, or hurts her hand because he's so strong. So I don't think Robert Jordan thought that a woman hitting a man was ever really a threat. Like he wrote that in that way when he wrote it. Yeah. Other reasons to defend. I mean, the stuff that happens during their sex. I don't know if I would say that's abuse. Maybe he likes it when she scratches and claws at him. Some men like that. Some women like that. Other. Ooh. And yes, you told me how to say your name last time, and I forget. High Talkery Hobbit. Um, her culture, it definitely normalizes it. Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't. She thinks that it's normal. And to be fair, in our culture, we kind of have thought it was normal for a while as well. Hitokiri Hobbit. Okay, thank you. Oh, Hitokiri Hobbit. I've got it. But yeah, okay. Those are my defenses of of fight. Oh, that's the hardest part to defend. I clicked the wrong one there. It's Lan. But I in the books, it is kind of universal that when a woman is physically attacking, especially one of our boys, like the main boys, Robert Jordan doesn't seem to think that it could hurt them. Which, I mean, I'm not a man, but I'm pretty sure anybody hitting you in the face hurts. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not a pleasant experience. This is also true, but I think it kind of goes both ways on that. Okay, Gowan. 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 Like I'm totally scraping the bottom of the barrel. Gowan. I'm stealing it because someone said it earlier. Gowan loves his mom. And boys who love their mom are, well, I was just about to say they're nice, but they're not always nice. But loving your mom is a good thing. So, yes. Okay. I'm gonna do a prosecute one while I'm waiting for Delusion. So let's see. Oh, I didn't put it up. Sorry, I just realized I didn't add it to the stream, so you don't. Holy crap! I swear I didn't. It's Fail again. So I don't know if you heard this.
I was listening the whole time.
Okay, I ran the prosecute, and it also came up as Fail. So, yeah. Oh,
okay.
Sorry, my phone rang, and my avatar is coming through my phone. So, I've hung it up. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. I don't know why it did that. But okay, now we have to prosecute Fail. The same thing.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I did just say that I was defending her physical abuse of Perrin, but I was defending it based on the fact that I think Robert Jordan doesn't think that women can physically hurt men.
Yeah,
but now I'm going to say
hilarious.
Yeah,
women can physically hurt men. We've seen Fael use her knives.
Yes.
We've also seen the scratch marks down Perrin's back when she was in a particularly Alanis Morissette mood.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think even without your knives, I think even if it doesn't anybody
slap is still a slap.
It hurts. It hurts. A slap hurts. So I don't like that. And as someone said, she does sort of expect Perrin to just understand what she thinks a marriage should be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also here to prosecute Fael for the death of Massima, regardless as to whether or not she thinks he deserved it. She is neither judge, jury, nor executioner, and that is not her sentence to deal out. Masima did deserve, you know what? He deserved a trial. I'll say that. He did not deserve to be met with the justice of Fail simply because she deemed it so. And I mean, you're speaking with two Canadians here, so I'm just going to say it. The world of the Westlands is not Florida. You don't just get to take justice into your own hands. There is no Second Amendment in Randland. And, you know, sometimes there are actions have consequences, and you don't get to decide who lives or dies. You don't get to play God, Fail. Prosecuted.
Okay. Bye, Bodhi. Just saying bye to Bodhi. Yeah, I would not have thought of prosecuting her for that, because that is one of the things I like that she did. You know, in a fictional world, I'm very bloodthirsty. In real life, I agree with you. But yes. Oh, that's an interesting call. That is an interesting call. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, do I love it in my fantasy books? For sure. But if we're prosecuting and defending based on laws, then yeah, she fucked up, and like, girl, you're gonna serve some time for that.
Yeah. That, I mean, she did. Yeah, that is a murder. I would
that's a straight up murder, and that's a straight up like, you deserve to die. I've decided that you need to die. I shall do the killing. Like, it's like like she thinks she's fucking Ned Stark. Put ice away. Take a breather. Talk to your husband.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Still somebody.
That's somebody that you used to know, I think.
Somebody that I used to know? Somebody that I used to know. Okay. So I've done a prosecute, but you'd also prosecuted. Oh, wait. So still somebody gets a Gowing compliment or a prosecution. I don't know who you are in chat, but if you're in chat, let me know if you want us to prosecute or defend. But Gowan, when he like finishes the milk, he doesn't like leave a little bit at the bottom and put it back in the fridge and like hope that the next person will do it. He was like, he'll change the milk bag. Or you're not in that part of Canada. He'll change the carton.
Really love that you said milk bag. Yeah. No,
yeah.
He'd go to the store and get a new carton of milk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just an Ontario center of the universe thing.
I know everybody's like, Canada has bags. Apparently it's just us in Ontario that have bags. But the bags are better. They fit in the freezer better and everything. They go in the bottom drawer, like those crisper drawers. You just fill them with bags of milk. Anyway.
It's a weird thing, guys. It's a weird thing.
It's like work. Anyway, I don't even drink milk. I'm lactose intolerant, but when I worked at a preschool, like I dealt with a lot of bags of milk.
You know what? I also will say that like it's shocking to me that someone who grew up in the 90s doesn't drink milk because of the active Got Milk campaign that was out there. Lactose intolerance or no.
Okay, I'm going to remove this because I do want to tell you a story about this.
Drink milk, love life, taste that freshness.
Yes. One of my friends actually spent a huge, maybe about a year or something in the hospital because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And he said like it was when he was maybe 9 or 10, he spent this because it was in the 90s and stuff. And everybody was milk. And in the morning, he would be fine. And after lunch, he would be sick. And every single day, and the doctors, it was like, it's some sort of, like, it's about his circadian rhythm. Something is going on.
It's the moon. The moon has done this to him.
It was like a mystery. Every day at lunch, he had to drink a big glass of milk. It took them ages to realize he was just severely lactose intolerant, like severely lactose intolerant. Like it was one of the, like he's Black, and a lot of Black people are lactose intolerant. Like I think it's very, it's rare in white people. It's maybe 50% of Black people. It's pretty high. And then Asian people, it's almost entirely lactose intolerant. But he was just like, yeah, a year of my life in the hospital because they didn't know that milk.
White people shouldn't be drinking as much milk as like I still have a buddy. I swear to God, he drinks a 4-gallon, like like a 4 liter, like a gallon of milk. He chugs that sucker down in 5 days. That is a liter of milk a day.
That is a lot of milk. I remember when I discovered that I was was lactose intolerant. It was a case I hadn't drank it for ages, and I like felt fine. And then somebody was like, "Oh, you want milk? I've got chocolate milk." And I was like, "Ooh, I think I haven't had chocolate milk in like 3 years." Yes, and I drank it and was like, "Oh shit!
I've made a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. Huge." So,
all right. Well, throw some money in here if you're lactose intolerant to get Jenny some hands so she can emphatically say how much she does not drink milk, love life, or taste that freshness.
Yes. I do. Do non-Canadians know that commercial?
I hope so.
Yeah. I do put milk in my tea. I do love it. I will tolerate, like, the milk tea is pretty big in Korea. I will tolerate it. It definitely makes me sick though.
I'm an oat milk kind of girl now. So
Ooh.
I've moved past the mustache.
Yeah. Yes. One of my friends asked me,
there is no mother's milk in a cup in this house. No, ma'am. We did not do that. Strictly for baby.
Ew. Okay. All right. I'm going to spin a prosecute. Yes, this is the prosecute wheel. And see what we get this time. It is Arthur Hawkwing.
Oh, prosecute him.
Yeah.
I mean, he did many war crimes.
Yes, I would agree with this.
So are we prosecuting him for war crimes?
I would prosecute him for war crimes. I would say he's a dictator who,
Ooh.
Somehow.
Now, if you had to compare him to a dictator in the current age, who would you compare him to?
A dictator in the current age. Because he's a dictator who probably, like, you know what? I would compare him, what's his name? It was Park. But the dictator of South Korea, I think there were 3. It was the one who was, I can't remember.
I know nothing about South Korea history. Please go on. I am very interested.
There's a dictator, like one of the presidents of Korea while I was here, it was her father who was a dictator of South Korea. And he has the reason I would say it's a good comparison is because he was a dictator. He definitely killed people, definitely trampled over people's rights, but he also, Korea during the time of his being a dictator, went from being a third world country, like a developing nation that was receiving charity, to being a fully developed nation with like highways. And it's because that was his goal. And so he trampled over people's rights. And Korea, like if you look at pictures of Korea from the 50s, it doesn't look anything like Korea now. Like it's a completely different country. His goal was to bring Korea into the 20th century. And he did it by just like, oh, that's your land. Those are your rights. Sorry, you don't live there anymore. You don't want to move. I will kill you. And then there is a highway.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so much like Canadian colonialism.
Kind of, yeah. And so there are Koreans, like a generation of Korean. Thank you, Park Chung-hee. There's a generation of Koreans who look back on him as a hero because they remember the poverty that they were in when they were children. And they see like there's a lot of prosperity now. And so that's because of him. And there are also Koreans who look back and be like, but no, he killed my family. Like, so
at that time, the deaths, you know.
Yeah. Or like he stole my family's land so that he could do that. Like, it's a good comparison to Arthur Hawkwing. Of people, like some people think of him as a hero, but the people who lived through it might. I mean,
Aes Sedai, who he was, besieging, and if we can take what the show has put out there as prosecutions that may have existed during the time of Arthur Hawkwing. I'm thinking specifically about the season 2 cold open with Eamon Balda burning the witch to the stake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's the prosecution that I think
That
I think speaks for itself. If that's what was happening, if that's where the White Cloaks got it from.
Mm-hmm.
No squeaking. Squeaker. No
Is that
squeaking. Henry.
Do we have a hi Henry? Doggo. Yay. So but yeah, I think I actually I've said this in a video. It bothers me that Arthur Hawkwing gets to be a hero of the Horn and Egwene doesn't, because like he literally was a dictator. Like he swept over the Westlands, and people think of him as a hero. And it's like there were countries there that he conquered. Like he just attacked them and conquered them.
Well, and I mean, if we take what the Shan Chan are doing in the Westlands when they come and invade and when they take over Abu Dar, and that they like put in that style, like if we believe that is how Hawkwing ruled with those under those same regimes, right? Because it was his his offspring, his crotch goblins that sailed off west and founded Shan Chan, theoretically under like Papa's principles. I think it would be similar, but I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, and I don't want to persecute a guy for crimes he didn't do. I mean, we know about the Aes Sedai. We know that he was ruthless in that. We know that like his terms of justice were to enslave Aes Sedai. So
yeah,
I mean, to me, if we're talking about the same thing that we do with Ravine and Tuon and Tylin in terms of crimes, I don't actually think that we need to argue about whether Hawkwing should be prosecuted. He should. Like, Homeboy should be found guilty for enslaving humans.
Yes, absolutely. I've taken a hard stance on this. I am anti-slavery.
I know it's a bold move here on Lezbi Nerdy's channel. A bold move to say that there will not be slavery.
Yeah,
but if we're doing that and we're talking sentencing, then I mean, like, I think the best sentence for Hawkwing is to revoke his leadership and his status as hero of the Horn. Like, you can just get spun out again, bro. Like, fuck off.
Yeah,
or like, not spun out as you, but like your soul can just, I don't know, be like not Trolloc that feels cruel and they're like corrupted. But maybe you could just be a poor in Camelin for a bit.
You can be a poor.
Poor. That feels like a good sentence. Like, here you are. You're a commoner and you will never rise above your station. Deal with it.
The other thing I will say, like, there is a line when somebody is, I think it's Elias is talking about Hawkwing, that it took me, maybe my 10th reread that the line hit me and went, what the fuck? They said, like, it was said that a boy could ride from one end of the Westlands to the other with a bag of gold and not be harmed under Hawkwing's rule. And that's supposed to be a positive. And there was one time I read, it was like, wait a minute. So that means it's a police state. Like that's what that means. Like, there's no other way to do that. Like, if you've made it so that there is, like, as much as the only other way to make it zero crime is if it's a utopia. And unless we're saying that it was a utopia under his time, then it was a police state. So yeah.
Okay. Light Blinded Fool has brought up a very good point in terms of the defense to this, which is it's not pleading insanity, but it is pleading Ishamael. Like, how much of this was Hawkwing's doing versus... I
do think she definitely played a huge role in that.
That's pretty big. Okay, so I didn't really consider that, and we don't know what was Hawkwing and what was
Ishii.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like Hawkwing didn't even accept healing from an Aes Sedai because he was so twisted by Ishii at that point. Okay, so I will again. You can donate for specific characters that you want us to prosecute or
if
defend.
you want to avoid the wheel, or if you guys want us to get in there on like some spicy shit, you can pick the person and the charge and what we're doing with them.
Yeah. So, okay, but while we're waiting for that, then Delusions, do you want prosecution or defense?
Let's defend now.
Defend, okay. Spin this wheel. And Androl. Is this the right wheel? Yes, it is. Oh, I think I put Androl on the 2 on both sides.
Okay.
Now
we're defending him.
Defending him. And I think I put him on here. Sorry, I did this last night. Defending him not just as a character, but as a meta thing, as a character in the books.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did Androl do? Well, I mean, Pavara did it too, which is the tricky thing, right? Like he bonds, he bonds without consent.
Yes, but they did it to each other.
They did it to each other.
Yeah. Was it at the same time that they did it to each other? The last
like
book
basically, yeah. So they're both like, I don't know, like spiderweb jizz bomb. And then they both bond each other at the same time, which was very clearly a Sanderson. He also impersonates, actually, so that we could defend him against charges of identity theft.
Yes,
identity theft is a crime, Jim. Because during the last battle,
yes,
he assumes doesn't he go in as Mazrim Taim, or is that Logan?
So. He goes in as someone. Taim might be right.
I thought he did Taim, but I couldn't remember if it was Logan. Someone remind me in chat. Is it Logan or is it Androl who identity thieves?
Yeah.
But yeah, we can start also murders. Like he kills people. That's also a thing that he does through the gateways.
Yes. I mean, in battle, I don't know if you would call that murder. I don't know. Actually, as a lawyer, although I know this is not in any way your area of law.
Oh, you know me, classic battle lawyer.
Yes.
I just swoop in.
But
oh my God! Like I'm not going to make a terrible joke about Ukraine, but like, no, I'm not there right now. I don't do that.
But you don't like. I don't think deaths in battle count as murder. I think there's a different term for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're using the Legolas and Gimli law, you just body count and then you win at the end.
That is sure. That's the law of battle. Just body counts.
Yeah, just body counts.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me see your body count. What's that you say? I said, let me see your body count.
My defense of Androl as a character in the books, because I do know some people get a little het up about like the way that he uses gateways. Like it's very Brandon Sanderson-esque. And I definitely do see that. He is doing crazy things with the gateways. Is that for me, it drove me crazy that up until Androl, nobody had realized the power of gateways. Thank you to this person whose name I can't see. It's too small for me. Narafen.
It sounds very Lord of the Rings.
It really does.
I feel like that's an elf.
It does, yeah. They would like be Legolasing things all over the place. But yeah, that's the thing. It would drove me crazy that nobody had thought, why don't we use a gateway as like a spy hole or like a telephone? Like you could just build. It doesn't have to be like people who are, I can't make a big gateway, so I'm too weak. You can still hand shit through a gateway. Like if you don't have to walk your whole body through it, you can throw things through a gateway. Like
it is Amazon on steroids.
It really is.
Like instant delivery.
Yes, until Androl, I was just like, are these people idiots? Do they not realize the technology that they have just unlocked? And then Androl came in and I was like, oh, thank you, God. Somebody has realized the power of this. FaceTime gateways. Exactly. That's, you don't, like, they're all just like, oh, I'm too, my gateways
Okay.
are too small,
So our
they're
defense
pointless.
of Androl is basically like, look what he has brought to society. So like sure he committed identity theft, but it was all in the name of the light. And also look at the impact. Sorry, Sean's bringing me chili.
Ooh. You have a personal chili delivery service.
Just one of the perks of being a pet. You can bring me chili.
Oh. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, I like this phrasing.
Gate time. Yes,
Yes.
of course Shance came up with that.
Of course she did. But yeah, that would be my defense of Androl as a character, is that he did to gateways what Matt did to fireworks. Like Matt looked at fireworks and was like,
yes. or you're talking about Stone of Tear. But
not even just Stone of Tear. It was like Matt was the one who looked at the fireworks and was like, hey, this can do more than that shit. Yeah, this could do more. Androl looked at gateways and was like, I mean, I could cut shit with that. I can open it up in a volcano. I can I can do whatever I want. Like if that's,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, like I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that defense.
Okay.
Yeah. The contribution to society is a strong defense, and even if found guilty, sentence will be non-existent.
Okay. Sounds good. And Narafellin, was it? Narafin.
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 Can I play it? Can I play a thank you?
Yes, you can, of course.
Okay, this one.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sorry, they're very short clips, but I just put a bunch of them in. Yesterday, I meant to use them so much more, and then I didn't because they were coming in so fast, the donations, and I was so overwhelmed. I'm still amazed by everybody's generosity. It is overwhelming.
We're very close. We're very close friends, so we need to get this over the 3K mark. We are at 86%.
Wow. Thank you. I am not going to cry. Thank you. Okay. Then let us prosecute. All right. So we last prosecuted Arthur Hawkwing. He should be gone. And let's see who we get next. Lan.
Ooh, so many things. What are we prosecuting?
First, for his bad relationship advice.
Is that a crime?
I'm not a lawyer. This might be a frivolous lawsuit, but I'd be like, tell Nynaeve that he told Rand to tell the girls, that you love someone else or whatever. Don't ever fall in love because you just bring death to everybody. He was a very bad mentor.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily a crime, but I'm prosecuting him for it anyway.
We can argue breach of contract.
Okay.
It's not a well, it depends on it, I guess, if you're Elon Musk or not. But we can argue breach of contract for failing in his mentorship duties. In some places, I don't know where we want to go with this, but in some places, suicide is a crime. And so having a mission, but for Nynaeve stepping in, that's something. I don't think we should touch on that, but I'm putting it out there as an option. What else did Lan do? Well, I don't think we can get him on the consent stuff because
yes, he did.
It's a crime. Coercion, cult.
Mhm.
You know, like maybe, yeah, he's the cult leader.
I was about to say
Inciting violence.
he has done a lot of murder.
He's done
and
some
like
murder.
he offered to assassinate people for Moraine on a couple of occasions.
That's
Like,
true.
you know,
That's true.
yeah, he was like, should I? And she was like, no. And there's that. So there's definitely that as far as yeah. Yeah, the consent thing again, there's a because his first kiss with Nynaeve drives me insane. But that's a Robert. I literally in my brain there are things that I go, that's Robert Jordan, not Lan, which is so dumb.
I'm fine going for breach of contract.
Breach of contract.
Yeah. Yes. He was tasked with mentoring youths. You know, the contract can be binding whether or not it's written. It can be an oral agreement as long as everyone's understands. He was contracted to train Matt, Perrin, and Rand. I mean, he clearly picked a favorite. Fuck you, Matt and Perrin, figure it out.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to teach Rand the sword, and he did that for a time. And then he also taught Rand how to suicide. So
yeah.
That I think is the prosecution. It's not actually a sword move. You said it yourself, sir, that it should never be used in battle. And you relied on this, and you taught it to a very impressionable youth who is going through his own madness and trauma.
Yes. I would concur with that. Breach of contract. Sure. There we go.
Breach of contract. Basically, he just owes money or some shit. Money? So, yeah.
Yes. I also sentence him to his own therapy. You need to go to therapy, sir, to deal with your shit so you don't pass it on to other people anymore. So, yes. Okay.
I mean, that's just logic. Logic by Lan. Get the book now.
Yes, they can't stab you.
Self-published.
Yes, their weapon is already occupied by being in your body, so they can't put it in your body again. Oh, all right. Let's move on to defending. Let's see who we get here. Ooh.
I plead insanity.
Plead insanity. Okay.
Insanity is a defense, and I will use it aggressively in this case.
Yes, because I would say while he did go to the dark, like willingly, I don't think that he realized that it was going to be the apocalypse. Like he went into it not fully understanding
he wasn't fully informed of the consequences. Yes. Like he did not, but you know what? He didn't read the fine print of the contract, and that is his fault a little bit. He should have realized that, apocalypse now, it could be happening at any stage. The dragon could be reborn in this age. We don't know. So it's just a cautioning. Be careful of what you're signing up for. It could be you. So I do blame that on oversight on Padden Fane's part.
Right.
The torture, not so much.
That's what I was going to say. He was tortured. I don't know that would have been
being turned into a dog. I don't think was in the contract.
Yeah. So I think that he went into it not like he was not informed of what would be asked of him or what would be done to him. So I don't know the answer to this question. Do you know the answer to this question?
It is a defense. And what it means, so in terms of sentencing and everything, it means like you don't go to jail, you actually just get treated. Actually, fun fact, if you want to look up a Canadian case that actually touches on insanity, look up the guy who ate a woman's head on the Greyhound bus.
That's right. I do remember that story. Yeah.
There was a cannibal on a Greyhound bus. I think it was in Saskatchewan. I could be wrong, but anyway, he basically started eating a woman on the bus while there were passengers and they were driving. Anyway, that was insane. It was a moment of insanity, and that man, I believe, is now out. So he went to an asylum, I think they're still called. I could be wrong. And was treated there for his mental health, and is now living and functioning in the world. So
wow,
that's a fun Canadian case.
I did not realize that
for
he
our
was out.
viewers.
Yeah. Okay.
Super fun. So yeah, we.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. Going back to defending Paddon Fane, he, as Light Blinded Fool has pointed out, he is definitely suffering from a case of dissociative identity disorder.
100%.
He has got himself Paddon Fane. He's got Mordeth and Ordeth and Mashadar and Machinshin all just living up in his head.
He is a smorgasbord of like real personalities.
Yes.
And darkness, and also not personalities, because like what is Machinshin but like thousands of people who have been snacked upon, soul sucked.
Yeah. I don't know what else to call it, but yes. Okay.
Anyway, Paddon Fane needs counseling, I think, is what this comes down to.
It definitely does. Possibly some medication and in what do you call it? In-house therapy? No, like where you live in the place. What do you call it? There's a name. I forget. But just a reminder, I will also compliment Gowan for money.
Gowan or Talonvor or Valen Luca, maybe.
Yeah.
Got nice calves.
He does have nice calves, but now you've said the thing that I could say that was nice about him.
Would you compliment? Would you compliment Elida?
Yeah.
Do you have things to say? Like,
I have. She's on my defense, and I already thought of things to say in her defense. Actually, largely, Shansani has helped me with that. Well, not that she might remember, but yeah. Okay, so let us move to a prosecution. Did I remove Lan? No, but I am now. Okay. Let us prosecute. Avienda.
No.
just no. You don't want to prosecute Avienda. I would say Avienda has definitely threatened a lot of people and intimidated them to the point where they feared for their lives. I don't. Is it a crime to, even if you don't mean to kill someone?
Assault.
Yeah.
So assault is the threat of harm, whether or not you intend to hurt someone. If the other person believes that the threat of harm is imminent, that can be assault.
Okay. Yeah.
So if someone believes that Avienda is legitimately going to cut off a testicle, assault.
Yes. Okay, that makes I think then that is clearly something to prosecute her for. I would, because I'm not a lawyer and I don't care whether it's a crime, I would also prosecute her for being a bad teacher because she blames her student for not knowing things. And like, I'm sorry, if your student does it.
Sometimes students are dumb, though.
Sometimes they are, but if your student is consistently not being aware of, like, if they just never pick up on things and she gets, you need to think of a different teaching method.
I have a better one.
Yeah.
Sleeping with your student.
Yes, you don't sleep with your student. I am just gonna. Well, no, that's just crossed into a territory that is very dangerous for me on YouTube because I work with children. Sleeping with students is a prime.
Regardless of age, it is corruption of your position and taking advantage of someone who does not know better, someone who is in a position of submission.
Indeed.
Sleeping with your
Indeed.
student, Avienda.
Yes, she's definitely done that. And the other things Avienda did, she has, okay, again, going into not necessarily crimes, but she's got that cultural arrogance that I find very irritating with the Aiel, where she just thinks that her culture is right about everything, and Giotto is everybody should be following. Yeah.
Like being an American.
Apologies to, I think, everyone in chat.
Sorry.
But yeah, just this idea of like, even if she understands that they don't know, she will think that, well, your way is wrong, like the Aiel way is right instead of different. It's just
Couple of other options. This is actually for the crimes that we've suggested. Here's my current favorite defense.
Defense,
which is we're third partying in those wise ones.
Yep, that is that's something I was planning. I do plan, and I have all these ideas for videos in the future, but that is something I find such a uncomfortable thing. My issue with it is, and this is just moving away from our talk, but if the books made it clear to me that the wise ones knew that it had to be Avienda and not someone else, then it wouldn't bother me as much. But there's no indication of that. And Avienda makes it clear that she doesn't want to be there, doesn't want to sleep in the room with this guy, doesn't want to be the pretty girl in his vision. And they force her at him. I don't know, why? Yeah, she's literally being pimped out. And I have to think of a compliment for Gowan now. Gowan.
Okay, so Rand's a grad student now?
Maybe he is.
He's a high schooler. He's learning Giotto for the first time. He's like grade 1. He's like, what's that Adam Sandler movie where he has to go back to school?
Yes. Is that Billy Madison?
Billy Madison. Randall Thor is Billy Madison.
Oh, but that gives me an idea. Gowan, I bet you always did his homework on time. I bet you he did. Yes. I think that donation was from Nikki, and I'm seeing somebody named N in the chat. I don't know if it is Nikki, but they did have this, and I know that you, Delusions, are fantastic. Yes. So I'm going to let you go on that.
Oh my God. Oh God. I hate this so much because I don't want to victim blame. Okay, so I'm going to try, because this is where I get myself in trouble a little bit, because we know I hate Perrin, and I'm going to try very hard not to victim blame. Shit. Okay. Barrelane did nothing wrong. Everything she did, she thought she was operating under the bounds of consent. She was never told no, and not that I'm not going to pull an RV you and Chuck. Again, that's some Canadian law. Go look it up. It's really fun. No means no. She never heard no. She never heard yes. She should have assumed no. But if we're dealing in the world of should have, could have, would have, we can quote Taylor Swift at 19 for that one. And if you haven't heard Midnight's 3 a.m. edition, do yourself a favor and go and do that immediately. But effectively, Barrelane was misled. Her point of view was misrepresented. We actually never got to hear from her perspective. Everything we learn about Barrelane has been mansplained effectively. All of her actions have been explained through nostrils of a man who was physically attracted to her and intellectually attracted to her and married. So this is effectively a married man trying to use the defense of Shaggy. Wasn't me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barrelane did not Barrelane promised on words. She acknowledges and admits openly that she used language that was unbecoming of a woman of her station, especially to a married man. That is acknowledged. Mm-hmm. There is no defense to that. That is not a crime. The ensuing harassment, we would submit.
Yes.
Were but the fantasies of a whiff. A scent on the breeze. No action was taken. I'm going to stop myself there because I feel like I'm dangerously close to defending sexual harassment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to walk around this one. I think it's hard. Stop.
It's hard. I make this weird thing in my mind. I have to all the time remind myself that Jordan wrote the entire series, not like, because there are moments where I literally go, oh, Jordan got that, like, that's wrong. That's Robert Jordan. And then like, oh, wait, he wrote the other rest of it too. It's a weird thing because Barrelane does things that don't seem consistent with other things that he wrote about her.
Like that, I mean, like if we're talking meta, that is ultimately my defense, is that I think he didn't give Barrelane enough credit, and I think he thought it was whimsical for a woman to be the pursuer instead of a man. I'm not going to touch on Thailand because it's not. It is similar. It's not the same. But ultimately, in my heart of hearts, I think he meant to write Barrelane differently because she is a strategical genius. She is someone who has held her country together against all odds, and she has done it. This is kind of what I hate because he felt the need to mention it, but she's done it without sleeping with men, but she has done it without using her sexuality as a defense, and I really, or as even as a sword. Her sexuality has been neither shield nor sword, and it really sucks. It really sucks to me how she is portrayed in the books, because I love when we get to the moment where her and Perrin are buddies and they do respect each other on that intellectual level, and they can talk about strategy. And I really just wish I could rewrite the Pursuit, because I can't defend it except to pull an alley and say, Robert.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, Bodhi, 87%. Bodhi, thank you. Bodhi, Gowan. Gowan, he, I think his clothes always match well. He can put together an outfit. I would
Boy knows how to dress.
Yes. My thoughts on Barrelane, the way that, she tits boobily down the stairs. I think that Robert Jordan thought that the whole Falcon hawk thing would be interesting, and it just wasn't. Like, to me, it was just so, like, it made her, to me, like, it drove me insane, because everybody will say, oh, she wanted to be close to Rand. Then she was dumb. Why go after a man who is married when Matt is there, and Matt would have
too much like me.
But that's a dumb reason.
I know.
If your goal is to be with somebody who's close to the dragon, then Matt would happily have done it, and they would have been a lovely, competent pair. Like, they would have just been, oh, I'm competent, you're competent, we love hot people, we're both hot.
Huzzah.
Huzzah.
And that's the thing, is like, so here's my struggle. Oops, this one.
And I see you have a friend in chat.
And it's shitty. It's shitty because, like, I know what she did was wrong. But I'm also trying to read it through the lens of what we are presented with, and all we are given is Perrin's point of view. We're never told about what Barrelane sees or does or acts. And a lot of like Perrin's point of view is based on his judging and taking action in response to sense and what he like emotions of people. Like he treats emotions as a like basically as a crime, and he acts on them. And I just like I'm gonna plead unreliable narrator for a lot of what Berelaine does, just because I headcanon so much of her actions very differently. And I know that's on me, and I know I'm being terrible right now in terms of victim blaming and everything. And I acknowledge that it is my flaw. I just want her not to have done the things that she did, because I can't conceive of a woman like Berelaine doing what she did and not knowing the bounds of consent. That's really difficult for me to like wrap my head around, and I'm probably putting too much of myself into this character.
Yeah. This would be so true. Yes. I don't think Robert Jordan would have written them as an open relationship, but he definitely would have written them pointing out hot people to each other. But I think that's what I think in like if this was real, this would have been who they were. They would have been like open relationship power couple. Just competency upon competency. Like they are just,
This would be lovely, but also I think Berelaine can actually do way better than Perrin, so I'm fine. I'm fine with her just like moving on the second she realizes how dreadfully boring he is.
Yes,
and
between Berelaine, between Perrin and Fail, go for Fail. My God, she's much more interesting. Seriously,
you want to talk about like Berelaine and Fail? Yeah, I'm here for that. Again, fuck Perrin.
But also, don't fuck Perrin. Is that what you're saying?
Please don't fuck Perrin. Book Perrin. Book Perrin. Let me be clear. Book Perrin.
Yeah. Oh,
I will. I will never say a negative word about Marcus Rutherford.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. We did Pat and Fane. I'm just now alternating between prosecution and defense. So we are back to Taim. I will say again, I'm not necessarily looking at this from a legal standpoint. I don't know when Taim became a dark friend, but I do think that he felt stifled as a teacher. Like he thought that he would be able to rise up the ranks, and he was in a situation where, I've got like literally above me is the dragon. I can never be the dragon. I have literally no more career opportunities outside of the darkness. Like that is the dark. Like there is no higher that I can go in this organization. So the only way I can get higher is to go evil.
Corporate ladder disappointment.
Yes, that is my defense of Taim's actions.
So are we defending him specifically for the turnings?
I would say, turnings.
Like that's
also. Oh, sorry. Sometimes the comments go by fast. This is true. Yes. I mean, we already know that it turned somebody in the past. It's not an unusual. It is not without its precedent. But okay, yes, for the turnings. I mean, he has committed many crimes.
Many crimes have been committed by Taim, but if we're talking the turnings, let's see. Okay, what I would do if I were Taim's lawyer is to get him to strike a deal, because he could turn on Graendal for this one. So he could pull a Carla Homolka, if you will. Again, another fun Canadian reference. You guys are getting spoiled in chat today. And turn on his co-conspirator. So Graendal was the one really behind the turnings at the tower. We know this. She showed up and she was like, hey, bro, here's how you do it. So if I were Taim's lawyer, what I would say is, Because Grendel is, probably unfit to stand trial, but we'll pretend that they don't care about that.
Yeah.
And she'll stand trial anyway. If I were Taim's lawyer, what I would say is, let's strike a deal with the prosecution, and
I'm just answering the question.
In terms, in exchange for, you to walk free from this, or at least be charged with a lesser crime, you will give testimony on Grendel and what she did to turn everyone. So, really, Taim was he was a teacher's pet. He was trying to do the right thing. He didn't really know how to turn anyone. He was confused. This, basically should have been nameless chosen comes up to him and is like, hey, bro, here's how we do things. And what was he going to do? Say no under, threat of intense compulsion?
Yeah.
Nah, he went along with it. That was wrong, but end of the day, not his plan, not his decision. He just got them there.
Sorry, somebody is asking this, so I'm just going to put it here. We are full spoilers.
Sorry.
No, I just realized that as well.
Allie is not on tonight.
Yeah. So I'll just put that. It doesn't make any sense with the where to donate thing, but it's just constantly going across the bottom. Full spoilers. Also, please support me and Kobe. Full spoilers. It just looks weird. But yeah, okay. I can see that. I can totally see that. Oh, I've lost something on my screen. Sorry. My computer gets slow when I'm streaming, so things take a bit of time here. Yes, somebody asked me. Oh, what?
What did Graendal have to do with Taim? I would encourage you to read A Memory of Light again, because Graendal as Hessalam was responsible for the turnings.
Yes. Grendel was responsible for a lot. There's a reason your name is Delusions of Graendal. Let's just say.
There's a reason I adore her. She is very effective.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to, let me just make sure that I've removed time and go to prosecute. Aludra. Arms dealer. She's an arms dealer.
An unlicensed, unauthorized third-party arms dealer.
Yes. Which feels
my God,
disingenuous because it is the apocalypse. But she has created weapons that are after the apocalypse. There are now just weapons of war that exist in the world. I know. I did this on purpose. I specifically, sorry, seeing one of the comments. I did this on purpose. I put otherwise it's boring. Otherwise it's not. Okay, do you have any other things that you could prosecute Aludra for?
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is you're digging into top B, C characters? B? C? What's Aludra? Juxtafacion.
Possibly. Yes. Oh my God. Slept with Matt.
Only in my dreams.
Yeah.
State secrets. That's a good one. Yeah. Breach of, we can come back to breach of contract, but on the criminal side, because it was pretty extreme, right? She oh my God. Who's the guy? The WikiLeaks. Julian Assange. Julian Assange is who I'm thinking of.
Julian Assange of the Guild of
Yes.
Yes. Crimes against Trollocs? Yeah, Tammuz. Well, no, because she definitely blew up some shit. Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely weapons. I can't try to think. What else would I prosecute her for?
Yeah, I mean, if we're Kyrian,
Way too hot?
we're gonna blame her for burning down the guild, right? So arson.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. But did she do?
She helped start a war. Yeah.
Yeah, she did help start a war. That is very, very true. um, oh,
Do you also
yeah.
have "We didn't start the fire" in your head right now?
No, but now I do. Thank you for that.
I need someone to do a song parody of Aludra, "We didn't start the fire," with respect to the Kyrian burning.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah. And speaking of parodies, in case you don't know, if I hit my goal, I don't know when people arrive, so I'll just be repeating. If I hit my goal, I will release another song parody that I have written, and it's just sitting there in my unpublished videos. So yeah, if we hit the goal. Okay.
Oh man, we got a civil question here. Pursuit of damages.
Ooh.
That's
true. She gave like weapons to an untrained person. Oh, she gave fireworks to an untrained person.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they would sue Matt. Matt doesn't have insurance because it's Matt. Then they would also they definitely would also name Aludra in the suit, right? Because she's got the insurance. Yeah. She's got the insurance of the guild behind her. So like that's where the money comes from. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And I think also, like, I would say there's also some negligence because she was in charge of the guild, but also giving fireworks to somebody who doesn't know how to use them. I would say that's negligent as well. Like that's just like handing a firearm to a baby. You don't do that. So
we didn't blow up the city.
The dude sleeping.
We didn't blow up the city.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. All right. So I think that's it for Aludra.
Yeah. Girl did a lot of crimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. Okay. All right. Let's see who we get next to defend. Okay. Who is it?
Colavir.
Colavir. Okay.
Are we defending her actions?
Defending her actions. I mean, she's a woman who just like wanted to be, but she actually had a legal claim to the throne. Her claim was not completely illegitimate.
I mean, one could assume that the throne had been abdicated because no one was fucking there to sit on it. So the throne was empty and she saw an opportunity and she literally took it.
Yeah. That was. Thank you to the person. You guys can't hear it. I'm sorry. The reason my face always does that when it happens, I get a little alert in my ears that goes, so nobody else can hear that. Ooh, 87%. Thank you, Michael.
Close.
Yes. Gowan. What else does he do?
They think he's a righteous dude.
I do think he's a righteous dude. He puts the toilet seat down. I think in Randland there are toilet seats and they are put down. So.
And what if it's just a trough?
Yeah. Oh.
He doesn't pee on the soap.
Yes. Thank you to the other person, Tylith. Okay. And also, if you want us to prosecute or defend a specific character, you can also specify that with your donation. Holy shit! Thank you. Okay. Gowan. Fuck. What else?
Gowan fucks. We
Gowan?
know he gets some.
He does. Yes. He in his dreams he writes beautiful poetry.
Holy crap.
Leg day. Holy, what the?
That donation. You're
Holy
now
shit.
at 97% of your goal.
What the fuck? Thank you to that. Who was that person?
Tyshar Noman Garden.
Noman Garden. Thank you, Noman Garden. I know you're here. What do you want from the
What do you want? Whatever you want, it's yours.
Yes. Tyshar Noman Garden, indeed. What the? What? I'm talk delusions. I can't talk.
I don't know what to say. I'm waiting for Noman Garden to come in with whatever he wants.
Yeah. Who do you want us to prosecute? Who do you want
Holy
us to defend? Who do you want us to compliment or insult? Yeah. Okay. Thank you to that person too. Sorry, again, it's always do.
Gowan P's sitting down, I think is what we're going. 101%, Jenny. Oh my gosh. Wait, does this mean you're about to do a live stream of your new parody video?
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. How do I do this? I can't play it through. Sorry, I'm not crying. Sorry. I can't. Thank you. Okay. I can't play it through this stream because I tried it when I was practicing like my streams and it goes all jittery. But it is on YouTube. So if you're okay, Delusions, what we could do is just pause, like stop this stream, and then I'll release it. I'll set it as a premiere so we can all be in the chat.
I love that.
And then we can come back to stream. Is that okay with everybody?
I think this is Noman Garden's request.
Release the track.
And this is what we must do.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Jenny!
Thank you. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Put the link in the chat. Oh, you guys are so much smarter than me. Okay, I'm gonna put the link in the chat, and then it's private at the moment, so don't look at it. I'll make it an instant premiere. And then I'm just going to end the stream right after I put the link in the chat. I'm going to end the stream and then I'll start another stream. So
it'll be streams on streams on streams.
Yes. All right. See y'all in like about 4 minutes.
Premiere. Yeah. Let's hit the red carpet.
Oh my god. I can't. Why does my help button in the way? Okay. Sorry. Sorry, I'm having trouble because every time I go to hit enter, I get this stupid help button that is in my way, and I can't make it go away.
Do you want to throw it in the private chat, and then I'll just paste it?
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, there it is. No, it's working now.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to end this broadcast and then see y'all in a bit.